It's Affy and Valentine, and today I am here to do my late December wrap up. I read 5 books in December, and one of them was a Christmas novella. So I was really happy about that, but I'm not going to talk too much. I'm just going to hop on in. So the first book I read in December is by Loretta Chase. This is the last book in the Dressmaker series. This is Dukes Prefer Blondes. And this book was quite charming and very funny. In this book we have Oliver, or Raven as he goes by, and Clara. Clara is kind of the belle of the beau monde. She is the girl that everybody wants to be and everybody wants to be with. She is upper class and she is pretty and she is just, like I said, what every girl wants to be and every guy wants to be with. And Clara and Raven had met as children, so she's got a lot of brothers, and Raven happened to have gone to school with a few of her brothers, and so during the holidays he came home one year and the two of them played together, and then a bully showed up and tried to beat him up while she was there, and she helped him fight the bully and she chipped her tooth. She is friends with the dressmakers from the previous 3 books in the series. They have a work program that they do for young girls who are trying to kind of get off the streets and get their life together. And one of these girls, Clara, is kind of close to, and this girl has a younger brother who's kind of been stuck on the streets with a gang, and so Clara decides that she wants to help this young girl's brother. So she goes to Raven. He is a lawyer. She goes to him and is asking for his help to find this little boy. And she realizes she can't go to the cops because, you know, her being who she is, like, it's gonna cause a big stir. He at first is like, why would I do that? Like, that I'm not gonna get myself in this situation. But then she's able to convince him, and he basically goes on this journey with her to find this young boy. And when they find him, the boy is sick. Clara ends up getting sick with whatever it was that the young boy had gotten sick with. And Raven finds out, and he goes and he stays by her side and takes care of her. And it's super, super sweet. And once she gets better, he asks her to marry him because he's realizing, like, he really, really has feelings for this woman, and he cares for her so much that he doesn't want to be without her. Problem is, though, he's a lawyer. He's not upper class. He's not high society. And so she realizes they're going to have to convince her parents to let him marry her. And it definitely gets interesting at that point. I really, really enjoyed this one. I like Raven. He's very funny. He's one of those people that's, he's in some ways kind of like House MD, like the doctor from House MD, where he's very, very intelligent and he knows he's very intelligent, and he kind of sees other people as being idiotic, and he's just kind of annoyed by other people not being as smart as he is. So he's a little stuck up in that sort of way. He's not an asshole necessarily, but he can be irritating. He can be very irritating. Initially thinks that Clara is going to be this stuck up, like, bougie princess, which she kind of is. I'm not going to lie, she kind of is, but she's also very intelligent and she can keep up with him, and he finds that entertaining about her, and he's just like, oh, she's a lot smarter than I expected her to be. And so he likes that about her. They're funny together. She very much gives off I'm a princess energy. She has these moments where she gets into a fit of rage and she's like stomping her feet and like just like I want so and so and I need people to listen to me. And it's just funny. It's like, oh, poor little precious baby. You didn't get what you wanted. I really enjoyed this one. I ended up giving it 5 stars. The next book that I read in December is by Sherry Thomas. This is the 3rd book in, I don't remember the name of the series. But this one is Tempting the Bride. And in this book we have David and Helena. David is the best friend of Helena's brother, and they have known each other since they were children. So they met when they were like preteens, and he started off kind of horribly with her. He had a crush on her when they met as children, but she didn't really like him. She kind of saw him as awkward and weird, and so he would make fun of her to get her attention. And as they grew up, he kind of just continued to make fun of her, and she has grown up to despise him, and he himself is like madly in love with her, but he doesn't know how to kind of put that annoying aspect inside of him aside to make things right between the two of them so that he can have a chance with her. He's just used to making fun of her and just taking jabs at her and annoying the crap out of her. It's what he's done his whole entire life. And so he doesn't know how to stop himself. Helena is having an affair with a married man, and she and this man decide that they are going to try to meet one another at a hotel one day. And David is able to find out just by happenstance that this meeting has been set up by the man's wife. His wife is trying to catch him up to no good, essentially. He runs to go stop Helena from getting herself in trouble, and he kind of runs in the door like right before this guy's wife shows up, and he's like, yo, dude, you need to go hide. Your wife is coming up the stairs like right now, and she's trying to catch the two of you together. And so this guy runs into the bathroom, and the man's wife bursts into the room, and David grabs Helena, kisses her. So he basically saves her and her affair partner from being caught, but in the process he has basically told everyone that the two of them are married, and Helena is pissed. She is so mad at this man. He has basically tormented her entire life, and she's like, now we're basically going to have to get married, and you are the last person on the face of this earth that I want to marry. So the next day she is walking down the street. I think she's trying to talk to someone or catch up with someone, and she gets hit by a carriage and ends up with amnesia. David, who has for years been her tormentor, realizes that this is a chance for him to start over and, basically treat her right so that she won't hate him so much anymore. She can remember things back to a certain point, but she doesn't remember meeting him. And so he's like, oh man, this is perfect. Like, I get to show her a better side of me. She'll get a chance to see me for who I really am, and not this guy that just pesters her all the time. And so he is so sweet and so gentle with her. And so he's being really, really sweet with her, and they're having like a great time getting to know one another. And then her memories slowly start to come back, and it gets interesting from there. This one I think had a great premise, and I was really excited to get to this book in the series because of the premise. And I think it was definitely very well done. I love the back and forth between these two. They are hilarious when they, like, their banter is so good. I just, like, he will say something really, like, screwball, and she will just throw it back in his face, and he'll be left standing there like, well, goddamn, that was a good one. Because she's like really quick with it, you know, like he would say something and she would just be like, well, so and so and so then. He'd be like, well, all right, I didn't see that one coming. So their barbs are just so good. I love it when the two of them are in a room together and they start like going back and forth with each other. So with this book, I ended up giving it 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I was kind of sad. It wasn't very long. I think it was only like 300 pages, 320 pages, something like that. I wish it would have been a little bit longer, but I did really enjoy it. So 5 stars. The next book that I read in December is The Wallflower Christmas by Lisa Kleypas. I had not read this book yet, despite having read the Wallflower series like a year or two ago. But it was being read by, was it the Historical Hellions, I think, in December. And so I figured this was the time to read the book, and it was a lot of fun. So in this book, we've got Rafe Bowman and Hannah, and Rafe is the brother of Lillian and Daisy from the Wallflowers. So he's American, and he is in England to find a wife, and the woman that his family has picked out for him is Hannah's cousin. And Hannah is her cousin's companion. And so she's basically like a paid best friend to her cousin. And she goes to meet the family, to meet Rafe, because, you know, her cousin is like, oh, I'm supposed to marry this guy, but can you go and meet him and kind of get an idea of what he's like for me before I meet him? And so Hannah goes and she meets him, and this man just irritates the ever-loving Christ out of her. She's like, oh my God, I can't believe you guys are trying to make my cousin marry this man. Like, he's so brash, he's so American, and I feel like they're not going to be a good fit. As she's leaving, he pulls her aside and he kisses her underneath the stairs, and she's very flustered. And she goes home and she tells her cousin, and her cousin thinks that it's the funniest thing ever. And she's just like, you don't understand. This man is ridiculous. Like, he's not for you. And her cousin is just kind of like, he's an American. Like, what do you expect? And so they get invited to Marcus and Lillian's house for their annual country visit. I can never remember what it's called. But Rafe this man, he does everything in his power to spend time with Hannah, despite the fact that he's supposed to be courting her cousin. There are some wonderful moments in this book between the two of them. There's a scene with the Christmas tree and a toupee, and there's another scene with a letter that he writes, and Hannah and her cousin find it, and then it ends up being read by like all the members of the Wallflowers. It's a little dirty. The letter's a little dirty, and so of course all the ladies are like, oh my. But that part of the story was very good. I enjoyed that. There's just a lot of good scenes in here. It's a novella, so there's not a lot of story, and I don't want to give it all away, but quite a few fun things happen, and you get to see the other Wallflower characters in the book, and it's just so fun to see them again. as like married couples now at this point and just see how their relationships have evolved as they've been married for a while. So this was a fun one. I ended up giving it 4 stars. So the next book I read is Byer and Heath. This is the second book in the Once Upon a Dukedom series. This is the Duchess Hunt. And in this book we have Penelope Pettypiece and Hugh, who is the Duke of Kingsland. And Penelope is Hugh's secretary. So she's been working with him for 8 years, and she's been in love with him for all those 8 years that she's been working with him. And he loves working with her. She's very efficient. She's good at her job. Like, he never has to ask her more than once to do something, and sometimes she does it before he even has to ask. Like, she's just very, very good. They work together very, very well. He had put out a letter in the paper asking women to send him letters explaining why he should marry them. And that's part of the first book. Is the heroine in the first book was the one who originally got chosen. Well, since he didn't end up marrying her, he's put out another letter, and this time he asked Penelope to pick for him who his wife is going to be, and she's just kind of stressing out because she's like, I have to make sure I pick the right woman. But obviously she's in love with him, so she's just kind of like, how am I supposed to do this? Like, I don't want to have to pick a wife for the man I love. He, on his end, is starting to have feelings for her. It kind of starts with like they're having a meeting one day and he's kind of distracted because he just kind of keeps looking over at her, and he's like looking at her dress and like thinking to himself, you know, she's always so buttoned up and so like strict with herself. Like, I wonder what it would be like if she were to open up, if she were to let loose, if she were to, like, just wondering what her personality is like when she's not being his secretary. And it kind of starts to go on from there where he's just like wondering to himself. He's like really questioning, like, who is she when she's not working for me? Like, what is she really like deep down inside? Like, I really wonder. And it kind of goes on from there. Once he realizes that he has feelings for her, they're both kind of not sure how to proceed because of the fact that she works for him. But he makes a move first, and it gets very interesting. She has a very sordid past that she's been trying to hide, and he also has something in his past that he's trying to hide. So when they receive a blackmail letter, they're not sure who it's for, whether it's for him or for her. And so they have to figure out, like, okay, who is this letter for, and what kind of secrets do each of us have that somebody would blackmail us for. Yeah, this was a fun one. I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. I remember thinking to myself, like, this woman was in love with him for 8 whole years, and he, as, like, laser focused he is on things, like, he could not pick up on the fact that this woman was in love with him. Blind. The man was blind. And, did you just fart? The twists in here were definitely very interesting. I wasn't expecting his whole secret to be what it was, and I definitely was not expecting her secret to be what it was. Yeah, she keeps alluding to something that Pettypiece had done in her past that she was hiding from, and once you figure out what that is, it's like, oh damn, girl, I did not expect that from you. So definitely a good twist in here. I really, really like the twists. So the last book that I read in December is by Eva Leigh, or Eva Lee, I don't know how to say it, but Counting on a Countess. This is part of the London Underground series. And in this book we have Tamsin and Kit, or Christopher is his name, but he goes by Kit. And Kit is a retired soldier who has been given a earldom, and he has recently lost a friend who was in the military with him, who has recently passed away and has left him money, but he has to get married to receive this money. And so he's on a hunt for a wife, and he meets Tamsin at a ball one day, like a week before this due date runs out for getting married. He courts her for like 2 days and asks her to marry him. I'm trying to get this money that's been bequeathed to me, but I have to get married and I've only got a few days left. So I know we've only courted for like a day or two, but would you be willing to marry me? And she thinks he's hotter than hell, and she has to marry for her own reasons. So she's like, fine, like, you're cute enough, like, we clearly have a thing for one another, like, let's just do it and we'll see what happens. So they get married, but unfortunately Tamsin has her own backstory, which is that she is a smuggler. She's from Cornwall, and in her town, they have no money. Her uncle is the Earl of the town, I believe, and he has not put any money into this town whatsoever. So people are going broke, they're going hungry. And so 8 years ago, she had made the decision to help start smuggling, and that's what's been keeping the town afloat for the last 8 years. And so she basically needed to marry to get money to buy her uncle's property so that they could use it to continue smuggling. Kit, on his end, he wants to use the money to start a pleasure garden. It's something that he's wanted ever since he was in the military. It was like the dream that he had that kept him going. He was like, when I finish the military, when this war is over, and I go home, like, my dream is to build a pleasure garden. But when they go to sign all the documents for him to get his money, his inheritance, they are told that she is the one who's going to hold the purse strings, because the guy who was giving him the inheritance knew that he was a bit of a lush, and also that he wasn't good with money, that he liked to gamble. And so the guy's like, look, I know you're gonna blow through this money really, really quickly. So what I'm gonna do is have your wife be the one to keep the purse strings. And so he is pissed off. And his friend basically tells him, like, all you gotta do is just seduce your wife and then she'll give you whatever you want with the money. And so he decides he's gonna do all these sweet things to kind of get her to fall in love with him so that she will give him the money for him to start his pleasure garden. And so he does all this sweet, sweet stuff for her, and she obviously starts to fall for him. And yeah, once she realizes that he has been doing all this to get something out of her, it starts to get pretty serious from there. And yeah, this was a really good premise and a really good story. I really, really liked the story to this. I love that she's the one that's kind of living in an underworld, like London Underground. She's the smuggler in this case. I love how much he enjoys making her happy. Like, every time he does something for her, he is like, oh my gosh, I hope she loves this. I hope she enjoys herself. I hope that, this makes her happy. And he'll literally like hold his breath just to like wait and see, like, is she enjoying herself? Like, is she happy with this? Like, am I doing the right thing? And I just thought it was so sweet that he just kind of hung on her every word and her every emotion, essentially. Just like, are you happy? Are you happy? Does this make you happy? You know, like, okay, good. I just wanted to be sure. Like, I want you to be happy. And I just thought that was super sweet that he was so in tune with her emotions. He just, yeah, he's awesome. I really like it. So I ended up giving this one 4.5 stars. Just a great story, great couple. So if you have made it to the end of this video, thank you for watching. Go ahead and leave me a dress emoji to show that you've made it to the end of the video. I had a really good reading month in December. If you've read any of these books, go ahead and leave me some comments. If there are any books that you want to recommend to me, go ahead and leave me some comments. Valentine says hello. Go ahead and leave some comments for Valentine. And yeah, just leave me some comments, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.